Have you ever felt too tired to keep trying? When everything you once believed in suddenly falls apart, and you find yourself wondering, do I still have the strength to stand up again? Today, this video will help you find that answer. The silent storm. There's a kind of exhaustion that sleep can't fix. You wake up, the sun is out, the coffee is warm, and yet something inside you has gone quiet. It's not sadness exactly. It's like standing in the eye of a storm that no one else can see. That's the silent storm many people in their 50s, 60s, or 80s live through, not a loud collapse, but a quiet fading. You've held everything together for years: family, work, responsibilities, expectations. You've been strong for so long that even your strength has grown tired. Psychologists call this emotional fatigue. It happens when the brain has fought for too long, through loss, loneliness, illness, or change, and finally says, I can't keep pretending everything's fine. But here's the truth most people don't realize: the silence after breaking down isn't the end. It's the beginning of healing. In neuroscience, when the brain experiences deep emotional pauses, it's not giving up, it's resetting. The prefrontal cortex, your rational part, slows down so that your emotional center, the limbic system, can process grief safely. That's your mind's natural reboot system. Think of it like nature. After a storm, the soil looks ruined, but underneath, the ground is richer. Your silence is doing the same thing. It's making space for growth. A Harvard study on emotional resilience found that people who acknowledge sadness instead of suppressing it recover faster, both mentally and physically. So when you feel numb or detached, it doesn't mean you're weak, it means your body is quietly protecting you, preparing you to start again. You don't have to bounce back overnight. Maybe strength isn't about roaring through the storm, but sitting still and listening to what it's trying to teach you, because sometimes, the bravest sound in the world is silence. When life hits you hard. You know that moment when life decides to hit you right in the gut, just when you thought you'd finally caught a break. Maybe it's a diagnosis that changes everything. Maybe it's losing someone who was everything. Or maybe it's waking up one morning and realizing that the person in the mirror feels like a stranger. When life hits hard, your mind does something strange. It doesn't scream. It freezes. Neuroscientists call this the amygdala hijack. It's when the emotional part of your brain takes over your logic, shutting down focus, energy, even hope. It's not weakness, it's biology. Your brain is trying to protect you from more pain by numbing you. That's why sometimes, after a loss or a shock, people stop dreaming, stop caring, stop moving. It's not that they don't want to live, it's that their nervous system has quietly switched into survival mode. It's like driving a car in neutral. The engine runs, but you're not going anywhere, and the worst part? Society tells you to stay strong. But what if real strength means letting yourself not be okay for a while? Studies from Stanford show that people who allow emotional release, crying, talking, even silent reflection, heal faster than those who bottle it up. The act of admitting pain reactivates parts of the brain responsible for emotional balance. If life has hit you hard, you don't need to fight back right away. Sometimes the first step is just whispering, "This hurts." Because that's where honesty begins, and healing can't start until truth is spoken. You've survived every bad day so far. That means your record is perfect. You are still here, and that counts for something. The hidden gift of struggle. Here's a strange truth: the moments that nearly destroy us are often the same ones that quietly rebuild us. But we rarely see it while it's happening. Struggle doesn't come wrapped in wisdom, it comes wrapped in chaos. Psychologists call this post-traumatic growth, the idea that after enduring something painful, people often emerge more resilient, more compassionate, and more grounded. It doesn't mean the pain disappears. It means the pain changes shape, from something that breaks you, into something that builds you. Think about it. A bone that heals after a fracture becomes stronger at the breakpoint. The same is true for the mind. In a 2018 University of North Carolina study, participants who faced major loss or health crises reported higher levels of empathy, patience, and appreciation for small joys. It's as if life's worst chapters rewired them to notice beauty again. Maybe your biggest challenge, the loss, the regret, the loneliness, was actually life's way of carving space for something new. Struggle strips away the unnecessary pride, ego, illusion. What remains is raw, human truth, the kind that can finally breathe. You don't have to thank your pain, but you can stop running from it. Every scar you carry is proof that you kept going when it would have been easier to stop, because sometimes the gift isn't the lesson, it's the you that survived to learn it. So the next time you look back on your hardest moments, ask yourself, what did that version of me teach the person I'd become? Chances are, it taught you the one thing you never knew you had: quiet strength. Learning to stand again. Standing up after you've fallen sounds simple until it's you lying there, staring at the ceiling, unsure if you even want to get back up. No one tells you how heavy life can feel when you've already carried it for decades, but here's the truth. Strength isn't about how quickly you rise, it's about how gently you do it. Let me tell you about Eleanor, a 72-year-old woman who once said, "I didn't realize I was grieving the future I thought I'd have." After losing her husband, she stopped cooking, stopped gardening, stopped being. Then one day, she made tea, just one small, ordinary thing. That became her start. One cup. One breath. One moment of living. Psychologists call this the micro-step principle. When your brain is overwhelmed, it resists change. But if you focus on the smallest possible action, something so small it feels almost silly, your brain doesn't fight back. It adapts. You regain momentum. In neuroscience, each tiny action triggers dopamine, not because of success, but because of movement. So when you walk to the mailbox, call a friend, or even open the window for sunlight, that's not nothing. That's you quietly reprogramming hope. Healing doesn't look like fireworks. It looks like brushing your teeth after 3 sad days. It looks like washing one dish. It looks like saying, "I'm tired, but still waking up tomorrow." Eleanor didn't rebuild her life overnight. She rebuilt it one heartbeat at a time. A year later, she said something beautiful: "I stopped trying to get back to who I was. I started learning who I am now." And maybe that's what it really means to stand again, not returning to your old self, but meeting the new one who's still standing. The science of resilience. Resilience isn't magic, it's wiring. Your brain, even at 60 or 80, still has the ability to rewire itself. Neuroscientists call this neuroplasticity, the brain's power to grow new pathways when faced with change or stress. And that's the scientific reason why it's never too late to get stronger. When you face loss or fear, your body floods with cortisol, the stress hormone. But resilience begins when your brain starts balancing it with dopamine and serotonin, the recovery chemicals. And guess what? You don't need youth or luck to activate them, just consistency. Simple habits, like walking outdoors for 15 minutes, journaling one positive memory a day, or practicing slow breathing, literally reshape your brain's resilience network. A 2022 study from McGill University in Canada showed that seniors who practiced daily mindfulness for just 2 weeks improved emotional regulation and memory performance by 18%. That's not psychology fluff, that's brain rewiring in real time. But resilience isn't just about science, it's also about self-permission. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to have bad days. You're allowed to not have it all figured out. The body heals faster when it doesn't feel judged. Think of your brain like a muscle. You wouldn't expect to lift heavy weights after years of rest. You'd start small. Resilience works the same way. Repetition builds confidence, not speed. Here's the ironic twist: your brain becomes most flexible when life feels the hardest. Because stress, when faced safely, forces the mind to evolve. That's evolution's secret. Pressure builds progress. So if you're still learning, still trying, still showing up, your brain is literally rebuilding your strength molecule by molecule. Resilience isn't about being unbreakable. It's about becoming bendable without breaking. Small steps, real change. Let's be honest, change sounds big and dramatic, but it actually starts in the smallest, most boring places. Not in grand plans or motivational speeches, but in the quiet rituals you repeat when no one's watching. You don't rebuild your life by climbing mountains. You do it by making your bed. By opening the curtains. By drinking water before your coffee. These are signals to your brain that say, I'm still here. I still matter. For people between 50 and 80, psychologists call this the habit of meaning. It's not about productivity, it's about presence. Research from the University of Toronto found that older adults who practice small daily routines, journaling gratitude, going for a short walk, or sharing a meal with someone experience a 40% boost in mental well-being. Why? Because the brain interprets consistency as safety. Try this: when you wake up, write down 3 small things, not goals, but moments. See the sunrise. Call my daughter. Water the plant. Then do them, slowly. Each completed act releases dopamine, your brain's way of whispering, good job, keep going. Don't chase giant change. Chase small truth. Because small actions are sustainable, they become identity. Even talking to someone counts. Connection triggers oxytocin, another healing chemical that helps reduce anxiety. You're not being dramatic when you say conversation helps. Your brain agrees. So the next time you feel stuck, don't look for a miracle. Look for a moment. Because real change never arrives with thunder. It tiptoes in through small, consistent acts of care. The strength you're looking for isn't out there somewhere, it's hiding inside your everyday choices, waiting to be noticed. Turning pain into power. Here's a truth most people avoid: pain never really leaves, it just changes its purpose. You can let it shrink you, or you can let it shape you. The choice is quiet, but it's everything. Pain is your body's most honest messenger. It says, something mattered. It means you cared deeply enough for something to hurt. That's not weakness, that's proof of love, attachment, and being alive. The psychologists call this process reframing. It's when you stop asking, why did this happen to me, and start asking, what can this teach me? The brain loves patterns. When you shift from self-pity to curiosity, the amygdala, your fear center, calms down, and the prefrontal cortex, your logic center, takes the wheel again. That's literally your brain turning pain into strength. Think of famous examples. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison and came out preaching forgiveness. Viktor Frankl, who survived concentration camps, said, suffering ceases to be suffering the moment it finds meaning. These weren't superheroes. They were humans who decided to repurpose their pain. You can too. Start small, write about what hurt you, but end the story with one thing it revealed. Maybe your endurance, maybe your compassion, maybe the realization that you're still capable of love. Neuroscientists at Cambridge found that people who journal about trauma and end with lessons show stronger immune systems and lower stress hormones. Meaning, your body heals faster when your pain has purpose. So no, you don't have to forget the past. You just have to give it a job. Let it teach, guide, and remind you of the strength that only experience could give, because pain doesn't destroy you. It defines you, if you let it. The quiet strength within you. There comes a point when you stop asking, when will this end, and start whispering, maybe this is where I begin. That's when real strength is born, not in battle, not in victory, but in peace. For most of your life, you were told strength means fighting, pushing, enduring. But as we grow older, we start to see the quiet truth: strength isn't noise, it's presence. It's waking up, even when you don't have a reason yet. It's showing up to life, gently. Psychologists call this radical acceptance, the ability to stop resisting what already is. Studies from the University of British Columbia show that older adults who practice acceptance experience lower stress, better sleep, and stronger emotional stability. Why? Because when you stop wasting energy fighting the past, that energy finally returns to you. Maybe your greatest strength was never about control. Maybe it was about surrender, trusting that you are still whole, even when pieces of you are missing. So take a deep breath. You've survived heartbreak, disappointment, and change. You've outlived every bad day you thought would end you. That's not luck, that's quiet power. Your story doesn't have to be loud to be worth hearing. Sometimes the most powerful lives are the ones lived in stillness, the ones that simply say, I stayed. Because the real strength your biggest challenge taught you is this: you are still here, and that's enough.